I want to talk a little bit about you being reunited with Roy Hodgson. Big opportunity for yourself at Crystal Palace. As you mentioned, bringing something different into the coaching setup there. Can you sort of talk to us about what's gone on at Palace and where you are now in terms of moving forward with your coaching and how things stand?
Well, that kind of came about through a friend of mine, actually. I'd always kind of stayed in contact with Roy. It would be the odd text message backwards and forwards. But when he got the job, I didn't really, because at that moment I just left Reading, was taking a bit of time out from the game. But, after 4 games, Frank de Boer got the sack at Palace. Roy went in. Someone made contact with someone at the club at Palace. A couple of phone calls later, a couple of days later, I'm in. Spoke with Roy. Obviously wanted a younger coach alongside him. He had Gary Neville with him for his 4 years at England. So Roy and Ray Lewington as his assistant. My name got thrown in. We had a phone call, a meeting. I started within a couple of days. That's how quickly it happened. And we went into a situation, 4 games in, no goals scored, no points on the table. 3 games after we went in, 7 games, no goals, no points, and no teams ever escaped from that in the Premier League. So it was a big challenge, but good quality players, Roy's coaching, and hopefully some of the things that we did around the place. Well, it did end up being enough to finally get comfortably safe in the end. But watching Roy operate, the way he worked, not only when I was a player and he was the manager, but just seeing how he is, seeing his enthusiasm for the game. Again, respectful environment was massive. He's got time for everyone, old, young, injured. He's in the physio room every morning, checking everyone's all right. That's not all people might think, well, that's a given for all managers. It's not. Sometimes when you're injured, you don't see the manager. They're just concentrating on the squad. Roy's got time for everyone, and it was a pleasure to work alongside him and Ray. But just felt last summer, just got to a stage in my life and in my career where there was, other things going on, away from football that I needed to give, a little bit of time to. I lost a real close friend of mine, which was a tough time. Other issues as well that I just felt I needed to take a break from it to deal with those issues going on and to just get the buzz back again, just to take a break from it, and more importantly to spend some time with the family, because we've already spoken about all the troubles with injuries and that takes its toll on the family. They're the ones that suffer a lot of the time, because you're in a place where you're battling back to fitness. Am I going to get back playing again?
Your mind's thinking about so many things other than family life, isn't it?
Yeah, your days off where you should be enjoying it with your kids and your family are not, because I'm sat at home, icing my knee, trying to get fit for the weekend. You're focusing on your football and your career, and you sort of sometimes lose sight of what ultimately is more important than football, and is your family life and the kids, and always will be. So, I spent some time over the last 8 months, continuing my learning as well, been in a few clubs, gone to a lot of games, and now, probably feel now's the right time to, got the buzz back again, sort of refreshed and ready to, kind of miss being out there and that contact with the players every day, and being out there on the grass. And yeah, I think now's maybe the right time to get back into it, but sometimes you need to take that, I wouldn't even say it's a step back. For me, it's probably a step forward into realising what's important, getting that buzz back, and maybe then kicking on into the next stage, whatever that might be.
Do you see going back and working at Crystal Palace as a sort of real genuine option for yourself, or are you now going to be looking at other options?
I don't know. I've still, over the years, sort of dipped my toe into a little bit of media work, which will probably still be ongoing. I've completed my pro licence. Even that process, that's been a 5, 6 year process of doing your UEFA B licence, A licence. I was straight onto my pro licence. Been to a few PFA and FA events, presented on a couple of them, my sort of story, coaching journey. So
presenting skills is very good, I've got to say. I've got to say, you kind of put me to shame a little bit with the presenting standards.
So it's, so yeah, whatever. Who knows regarding Crystal Palace? Who knows? But hopefully, other connections that I've made. I feel at this moment now, having taken the break, that actually at some stage, I do feel ready now to have a go at it myself. A management role somewhere down the line. But I think maybe coming out of it has made me realise that, to then, that's what I want to do.
Would you be willing to take a club lesser down? We've seen, for instance, Sol Campbell going to Macclesfield. Massive challenge for Sol, and someone that's played at international football and the calibre of games that he's been involved in. Could you yourself see yourself taking an opportunity like that if it did come up for you?
I think so. I forgot to mention, actually, so back in November, a good friend of mine was first team coach at Wimbledon. So Neil Ardley got the sack. I was doing an Irish radio commentary up at Man City, Man United. I come out the game, had 3 missed calls from a friend of mine, Simon Bassey. He's went in as caretaker at Wimbledon, local team to us, we're close. He said, do you want to come in, give me a hand for a few weeks? And, without even hesitation, just went, yep, I fancy that. So went in and helped him out. League One, the facilities, obviously spent a big portion of my career Premier League level to drop down into League One. I loved it. It was refreshing, close-knit squad, close-knit staff, everyone mucking in. A few of the lads, no kit man, voluntary kit men travelling all over the country without pay, just doing it for the love of the club. So it was refreshing. Young lads sort of really receptive, asking questions, and it was nice to get back out there. But it was always a position that I was going into just help him out short term. Wally Downs obviously went into, who's now the manager, but that gave me a taste for it again. But also the fact that, by all means, I would manage or coach at that level, no problem at all. That's where my career started in the lower leagues, and sometimes there's quite an honesty, and a quite refreshing way about how the teams in the lower leagues operate.